Wiggity wag one, bros. It's us, the Kablam boy.
Oh no. So I left the intro up to him, and yeah, that's what he came up with.
No, don't put this in. Hello, everyone. It's Jean and Ollie again. What's this? Another video in the space of, 2 weeks? Madness.
I mean, we did say it was happening at the end of our last.
We've made so many promises about making videos before, and then it's just never happened. So forgive me for being a little shocked that we've actually made another video, and that we'll be making, I don't know if we'll. No, we probably will do a Series 13 Flux video before New Year's, won't we?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I intend to review the series as it goes out. Whether that happens or not, who knows?
It will just cut it. It'll you'll do your review, and then at the end it's just, what did Ollie think? And it's just me just going, it's shit, and that's it. It's it's shit. It was good. So in this video, we are going to be discussing that old Russell T Davies is coming back to Doctor Who. This really recent news that is definitely not a month old.
Yeah, it went a month, just the other day, didn't it?
So I'm glad we have left it a little bit, though. I say a little bit. We let it a month because it's allowed us to, gestate some thoughts on it. Because, let's talk about our initial reactions. Do you want to say how you found out initially?
Well, I was just scrolling through the Twitter, as you do. Saw a few people speaking about Russell. I was like, oh, okay. It's just the people I follow. I then saw the article and assumed it was just one of those, fan accounts. The Doctor Who or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. I then kept seeing more people quoting. I was like, I clicked on it. I was like, wait, what? It was literally just every Russell finale, when 10.
What?
Yeah.
And then Cybermen just rise up behind him in that weird deleted scene clip from the end of Journey's End.
Yeah, I couldn't quite believe it. Initially I just thought that he was going to be writing the 60th. It wasn't until a few hours later I actually properly read the article and was like, oh, he's actually coming back to take over. And yeah, I was sort of just caught up in all the hype for the past 3 days. It was literally everywhere.
You were very happy, weren't you?
I swear that's one of the most tweeted tweets that they've put out, because I swear I see it on my timeline every 2 days at this point. Just being, whoa, can't believe this is still happening.
It was the other day. He was like, "Oh, this was only a month ago." It's
I can't tell. I can't tell if it feels really recent or a lifetime ago.
Oh, it feels fucking forever ago for me. But that's just because life moves quicker these days. So I found out the same way, but I probably didn't find out the same time you did, because I didn't turn on my phone while I was at work. So it wasn't until I got back home, and I got home about 6. So I turned on my phone there, and like you, I just saw people just, talking about Russell T Davies, which wasn't out of ordinary on my timeline. So I was just like, oh, that's cool. And then, I keep seeing more people talking about it, and then I see that article, the tweet that they put out, and I thought, yeah, it's one of these fucking fake accounts. And then, a split second later, I see the tick, and I'm like, oh shit. And I basically just stood in a doorway for about 15 minutes, just sort of reading the article and just staring at the tweet and that image of Russell, which is it's not a new publicity image, it's an old one from an interview he did. No, it's from I don't know, maybe when it was when he was like promoting It's a Sin or
Okay.
something. So it's recent,
Yeah.
but it's not like brand new. So I was just like sort of staring. I was like just going, God, is this actually happening? Is this actually like a?
It came at a really
was
weird
hard to.
time as well. I think that's why I was like in so much disbelief.
It was only like a couple of weeks after the Jodie and Chibnall like departure announcement.
Yeah.
It was so quick. It was like I was not expecting us to hear about the next showrunner until at least just before New Year's.
Yeah.
I was expecting Series 13 to come out, and then like maybe at the end of Series 13 we found out who the new showrunner was going to be.
I've heard,
think
and this
that-
could just be speculation, but apparently it went out because if they hadn't announced it, it would have been leaked.
That's exactly what I've heard as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. As well, but I was about to say, it's like I think what the original plan was going to be was they would announce it after Series 13 and maybe announce it alongside the new Doctor.
Yeah.
Because this is all rumor, but when the Russell thing was announced, it was like, so I think what was heard was they've locked in the new showrunner and they are currently screen testing the next Doctor or auditioning the next Doctors. So that process may even still be going on now, or they might have even cast the 14th Doctor at this point. It's very unclear how far into, well, not pre-production of the series, but like how much Russell has and his team at Bad Wolf, again we'll talk about that as we go, have got into the future of Doctor Who yet,
because it's still very early doors.
Oh yeah, it's like, well, let's talk about like previous showrunner announcements. Like the time between I wasn't around for the Moffat announcement because I wasn't into Doctor Who when he got announced as I was a little baby boy, so I wasn't old enough for Doctor Who just yet. Yeah, I was too young. So I didn't know, but apparently that happened. He got announced as showrunner in between the broadcast of, I'm gonna guess, Unicorn. I don't remember the episode list, but it was the episode before Silence in the Library, or that one. It was just before that episode had gone out that he got announced as the new showrunner.
I don't remember it being announced, but I remember being really excited about Stephen Moffat taking over.
Well, you just have a vivid memory of just always being excited for him to come on.
No, yeah, I think I had heard that like when he was announced as showrunner, but I wasn't quite sure when it happened.
Yeah,
I probably just found it from my dad or something. I was like, oh, okay, cool. He's not written a bad episode. I look forward to it.
Well, I was aware that he had been announced before Silence in the Library and Forest of the Dead, so everyone was watching that episode and like the river stuff and all that with like, oh my god, this is like setting up the next era of Doctor Who. But I didn't realise it was like it literally got announced the week before that he was taking over, and then his entire like next story is like, look at this. Start getting hyped for the next era of Doctor Who, baby. It's like, that's so immediate. That would be like if talk about the next one. It's like when Stephen Moffat was announced to be leaving and Chibnall was announced as the showrunner together. That happened as one big announcement. I remember that because that's when we were doing Whoniversals, I think, the first time round. So I remember chatting with Matt, and that happened in January 2016, didn't it?
Yeah, so, you're right. That was a very long time
ago. It was like three announcements. Stephen Moffat's leaving, Chibnall is taking over. There's going to be only a Christmas special in 2016. Yeah. It all happened in like one big sort of gut punch. So that. Thinking back, that was like a lot of information to release all at once. Like, that's mad. Like, I thought it was a bit much to go Chibnall and Jodie are leaving together. But fuck me. But that, like, happened... So, yeah, like, January 2016 that got announced. And then Chibnall's first series was in, like, October 2018.
I suppose it makes sense, though. I suppose it makes sense because it's like they usually announce it whilst the series is still ongoing, and then there's like a year's like gap to at least make it. So I suppose like the timing like makes sense. It lines up.
Oh yeah, it's like Chibnall. They all started like.
I just find it.
I don't know how.
I just find it mad that Chibnall was announced in 2016.
2016.
Yeah.
And we literally like. I remember us all just going. So what does that like when you like we're talking about it just then? It's like you knew Stephen Moffat, you were hyped because he hadn't written.
I think it was
like in your opinion a bad episode.
It's weird. More people were. It was like the kind of what I got from that was the public like reception of that was more just we're excited that it's not Stephen Moffat. This feels like a very safe choice, though. Like, I remember people, like, we all thought that Chibnall was just, yeah, he can handle the show. He's done Broadchurch. He'll
he's
make
the
it
Pond
tick
Life
along.
guy, though.
Yeah.
He's the guy you get to do, like, the dinosaurs on a spaceship episode. You know, the one that really doesn't mean that much. He's the fun fluff guy.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, because I just sort of remember, like, yeah, it was more just relief that Stephen was going. And let's be honest here, like,
I think we're all just tired
Stephen
out.
Moffat. It was just nice. I think it was more just nice to know that a change was coming, because at that point, 2016, so he had been in charge or had been announced for about 7. He had been like the Doctor Who showrunner for about 6 to 7 years at that point. You know. That's a long time, and I do remember it was just some more relief, and everyone just sort of confused, like, yeah, the Broadchurch guy, he hasn't written for Doctor Who in like years, okay. And then everyone just had to go back. Everyone went back and just rewatched everything he did, because it wasn't like Moffat, where it's like, oh, you sort of get the vibe of exactly what this is going to be. It's like everyone had forgotten who Chris Chibnall was, so it's just like, I need to remember what he writes like, and then everyone just sort of discovered as very vanilla Doctor Who. But that is not a slag on Chibnall. It's just the vibe I get from his previous work on the show pre-Series 11 before taking over.
Yeah, so, I think that's fair, because people like often like view his stuff as either like the filler episodes or like just the fun, light-hearted stuff.
Yeah, he can write. He can just write, you know, Doctor Who. It's like he writes a Doctor Who story. It's like, and that was 45 minutes. You know, that filled time. He's showrunner material though. I think everyone was a bit like more going on that he had done Broadchurch.
Yeah,
and that was definitely and that was the whole reason he got the job, was because definitely. Broadchurch was so successful. For it, I'm not saying he didn't.
It's like it almost feels like a much harder job for Chibnall, and he's even recently come out and said that it was really hard to find someone to take over. I'm
also really glad that we delayed doing this video for a while because of that recent interview where he said it took, well, in the original announcement it made it out to sound like, or like his departure announcement, it had made it sound like he wasn't looking for his the next showrunner. Like he didn't know who it was gonna be. He just like
it was really odd.
handed back the keys instead of like Stephen, where he was like, he talks sort of like extensively around as like, oh, I took Chris out like for meals and stuff, and like I lightly suggested, you know, oh, I'm leaving Doctor Who, by the way, and just, you know, probed him for ideas and saw what he, like Stephen was very involved in finding Chibnall as like the successor. But he never said anything about it being hard, or at least I can't remember from memory. From memory, I don't think he said anything about it being hard to find a successor.
It might just be like the environment that Doctor Who's in now. So like, you can't deny that the Chibnall era hasn't like
it's not taken off as successfully as
it
could have done.
And I mean, Series 10, sure, like it was a low point for the show, but like there was still a lot of like love and creativity like within the writing team and stuff.
Oh yeah, it was the classic, like end of the Sylvester McCoy era.
Yeah,
it's like the series is back on track. The writing and the ideas have found like their stride again, but it's just a fact of like it's lost. It's not in the public consciousness anymore. It's just people knew Peter Capaldi was the Doctor, but they weren't watching it.
Yeah.
And with Chibnall, like it wasn't like this. It wasn't like Peter Jackson is like some visionary like famous person was coming to take over Doctor Who. It was just like, Doctor Who's got a new producer, and it wasn't until Jodie was cast and announced that we suddenly all sat up and went, whoa, okay, we might be in for something special here. And that's when the public like sat up and take notice, because they don't apart from like before, actually Stephen Moffat and Russell T Davies are quite big personalities in writing. They're one of the writers where it's like, I do think the general public, not all of them, but like people who are into television programs are like, oh, I know them. Like they wrote Sherlock, or Russell has written tons. I mean, we'll get onto his credentials. It's like they're a couple of writers who you know who they are, which is
there are not many shows that like you watch and you're like, oh yeah, shit, this person wrote that. It's they're almost like many celebrities in themselves just for writing the thing and how much they've written.
Like, the only other examples I can think of beyond Doctor Who would be like maybe Sally Wainwright with Happy Valley and all that.
Oh yeah, there's definitely some great like acclaimed writers that I know like people will go to.
Like Jed Mercurio, I think he does Line of Duty. He's a big name that everyone seems to know in the world of telly. It's like that kind of. Russell and Stephen are of that kind of level, and I think they were hoping, the BBC at least, that Chibnall coming in from Broadchurch would hopefully bring up that like profile. It's like, it's the Broadchurch guy. Everyone loved Broadchurch. And I'm not saying it like failed or succeeded, because then you get into sort of personal bias. But I definitely do think it's like the BBC are not, or at least are definitely weighing up their options with Doctor Who when Chibnall said he wanted to go.
Yeah.
But going back to what I was saying earlier, is like he originally made it out to be like he hadn't gone out and found his like successor, but then in this latest interview that he's done, where he's talking about Series 13, but he also talked a bit about leaving. He talked about how he was struggling to find, his replacement. And what do you think that says about Doctor Who? Do you think that says anything about Doctor Who, like its state?
I think it does to an extent. Like, I feel like Doctor Who is quite a weird show in general, though. Like, I feel like it'd be quite a task for most skilled writers to take on, like, full time. So, like, I'm definitely not, like, being like, oh, Doctor Who is, like, in a bad state, and that's why, like, people don't want to take over. But it does feel like maybe that has contributed a little bit into, like, the public reception of the show, as well as it just being quite a meaty task to take on. Like, you have to, like, devote your life to this thing.
Well, the main reason Chibnall, one of the main reasons Chibnall has cited that he's leaving. It's because he wants to spend more time with his family again. You know, he's tired, and that's fair enough. I think also the reason Jodie is going, although she has said she only wanted to work with Chris, I think it is because it's a knackering job. You know, Matt Smith left because he was tired.
Well, I mean, Russell even wrote, like, in his, what's it, the writer's tale, like,
yeah,
he left, he is never coming back, and he just writes about, like, how exhausting it was, how many cigarettes he got through, like, having to turn in, like, finishing scripts on the day and having to turn them in, like, yeah, like, it completely drained him. I feel like it's almost as if, like, Chris has went to Russell and is like, okay, I'm really struggling to find someone, could you, like, do this? And it's like, I feel as though the BBC have almost they've backed them on this decision. It's like, okay, yes, like, Russell, you can do what you want, you can bring on whoever, just please take this program and do your thing. I think that's also why the whole, like, Bad Wolf, like, thing comes into it. I feel like the BBC are like, yes, do whatever, and Russell's like, okay, I'll come back, but only if I can, like, bring on these guys, and, you know.
Yeah. I think it's definitely a thing. It's like, it's not that Doctor Who is, like, super unpopular and nobody wants to touch it. It's like, I'm sure there are plenty of writers, and there definitely are, who are very interested in Doctor Who, you know, who would like to take it on. But I think it's a combination of, sure, it's like, it's this great thing, but it's also, like you just said with Russell, it's like, it's a mammoth task. You know, it will eat away at your soul.
Yeah.
For, like, a good chunk of like the next decade of your life, basically. You know, like half a decade of your life will be devoted to making this program. And I think also another thing is, like, you know, the BBC also have a certain say in how the show is made, or at least they did.
Well, this is what I think is, like, I think this is why, like, Russell has said, like, I think this is why Russell has agreed, because it's almost as if the BBC are like, okay, Russell, like, please, and he's went, okay, but only if I can do exactly what I want to do.
Yeah.
And it's like, because I know, like, I'm pretty sure he has free range of casting whoever he wants, like, that's not on the BBC, like...
He's cast.
Yeah, not enough information has been released about how much control he has, but I assume it's quite a lot. Maybe even more than he had before.
I think, it's definitely like, I'll come back, but it's on my terms, because I don't want to... I want to make Doctor Who how I want to make it, not killing myself to, like... push, like, to fit into the mandate of what was needed of Doctor Who at the time. And we'll see what that brings. Like, I'll ask you again later, but it's like, do you think that we'll still be getting, like, 10 episodes a year? Or is 6 now the magic number? You know, I know it was only because of the COVID last year that hit TV production so badly that is the reason that we got only 6 episodes and, like, make it all serialized as one big story this year because of budget, like, you know, to save on the budget because they just couldn't do it otherwise. But do you think now it's just like, we've cut it down to 6, we might as well stay at 6? I'm interested, but I will ask you that later.
Okay.
Because I wanna talk now about what we were saying, like Russell coming back with Bad Wolf as a co-production with BBC Studios. It seems like BBC Wales, the production down there. I mean, Bad Wolf is based in Wales.
Yeah, I'm sure it will stay in Wales. I know there was a lot of, like, speculation that it might move to Manchester, but I feel as if it will be staying in Wales.
Yeah, I think it's just a thing of BBC Wales, like the BBC, like, production team down there are getting either, like, they're moving into the Bad Wolf studios, like they're getting employed by Bad Wolf and rather than the BBC now, or it's like entirely new production crew, which would be insane.
That would be, yeah.
because there are some people who are working on Doctor who have worked on it since it came back in 2005. You know, like they talk about it in when Jodie took over. It's like when she was filming her like regeneration from Capaldi. It was like I was meeting people who like were back from 2005, like had worked on the show and seen like these regenerations, like tons now. They'd met all these doctors. So I am interested, but yeah, Bad Wolf taking over. How do you feel about this merger? Not merger, but you know, like a co-production.
Overall, I think it's a good decision, especially on the BBC's part, or Russell's part, whoever's decision it was to do it. It's like,
Yeah.
I think one, it takes a lot of the responsibility off of the BBC. So it's like they're not constantly like being like hammered with like stuff and being, oh, shoddy promotion and all that. So it's like they don't have to worry about all that backlash kind of thing. They can just be, oh, it's Bad Wolf. But also, I think I'm not too familiar with Bad Wolf. Like, I know they produce stuff like His Dark Materials, which is a show I watch and enjoy. I'm hoping that it means there's like more of a budget for
You want an up in production value.
Yeah. Or just like, yeah, like more like location work, like more traveling stuff. Like, I'm hoping that like with the BBC money and also like the Bad Wolf, like, I don't know, there'll be more of a
cinematic feel to it, like, because I feel I have watched bits of His Dark Materials. It's not really my thing, but I have to admit it is a nice looking program.
Yeah, I suppose, because I know a lot of people like look back on like the Chibnall era as like cinematic.
It's definitely a different look from anything Doctor Who has done before, and I do admit like certain aspects of it do look incredibly cinematic. Like, I feel like The Woman Who Fell to Earth is one of the strongest bits of direction in any Doctor Who story. But I also do feel like at points it can go up its own arse in like, we have to make this look like incredible and like high art, and like sometimes they believe high art is lens flares, you know, making it look expensive.
Yeah, that doesn't look good.
And there's been enough discussion of how like filters and things have ruined like certain shots and like scenes in current Doctor Who, which is something I'm really hoping we're moving away from in this next.
I'm fine with colour grading, but like you watch like Fugitive of the Judoon is like one of the worst, for example, where it's like the grading on like that Jack scene is just horrible.
Oh yeah,
the lens flares and the TARDIS.
Maybe it's because he looked a bit too old and they wanted to hide his age.
They built like this beautiful TARDIS set, and it's like, yep, let's just cover the screen in lens flares. Like,
and then you look at all the promo images, and it looks gorgeous, like on like photographed properly, and with its own lighting. You know, it looks incredible.
I mean, I think a lot of that's down to either the direction or like the people afterwards putting in the effects.
Yeah, post-production.
Yeah.
So, with Bad Wolf coming on, you're also bringing back, because Bad Wolf was founded by Jane Tranter, and Julie Gardner, who were both heavily involved in the revival of Doctor Who in 2005 with Russell.
Yeah.
So they're all mates. They all know each other. They all seem to have a good working environment together. Does this equal a good show? Or like a strong, steady leadership of Doctor Who again?
Yes,
I don't know.
And no. I think work environment, definitely. Like, they'll be a lot more comfortable. Like, they know each other. They'll know and like have ideas that they'll know that they want to do. I think, because, you know, there's this obvious like thing that people were saying at the time of, is it just going to be 2005 to 2010 Doctor Who again? And like, I don't think so, with the amount that Russell has like matured and grown as a writer.
Well, yeah, I'm excited for Russell coming back because not because he ran Doctor Who before, although that is a benefit. It's because he has done in recent years such heartbreaking and impactful and socially relevant pieces of TV, like It's a Sin and like Years and Years. I'll use those two specifically because I know everyone's watched those. So, you know, it's like they're standout pieces of television in the last, I don't know, 10 years, maybe even 20 years. Like they're incredible pieces of television. And that's why I'm excited for him to come in now, as opposed to him having stayed on, you know, after 2009, because he has grown so much since those days. Like he's still got tropes, and you know you can still very clearly tell it's written by the same guy, but it's like we all grow and change as people and as writers, so it's incredible to see his work since, and with him coming in with the current social climate and coming in and doing Doctor Who now. Because if you thought his Doctor Who wasn't political, I think you need to go back and watch it again, because it's
RTD
while it's not the
woke?
most, it's because it's not like the most political and politically outrageous Doctor Who has ever been. I think, you know, episodes in series 10 have been a lot more not on the nose, but you know, like, and current, and especially like with the new series with Chibnall, they've been tackling social issues. Like in her third episode, we do fucking Rosa Parks, you know. And it's like Doctor Who has moved with the times, and as has Russell, and he is a man with his finger on the pulse of the social climate.
Oh yeah, I mean, like, I think I was speaking to you about this the last time, and it was literally just like how he literally consumes most shows in the current he watched them as like research. It's like, because he loves TV and he really wants to understand and like be on top of like new styles and like, you know, new storylines and stuff. So he just watches everything apparently.
He was saying earlier this year, he was calling out Loki, the Marvel show, for like its really shitty LGBTQ plus rep, you know?
Yeah.
And he was literally saying, it's like, and everyone lapped it up because if you give someone the bare minimum, it's all they think they can have. So they'll just devour it. And it's like, we're very guilty of that, because I remember saying when Loki came out, it's like, oh wow, what great bi rep.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's because we'd literally had fuck all before that.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hoping that's the kind of attitude he will come in with into this new era with.
I'm sure he will, because I mean, stuff like It's a Sin and Queer as Folk, like, he's never shied away from it.
Exactly. And like his Doctor Who, for the time, was incredibly progressive.
Yeah.
You know, it broke a lot of boundaries. I mean, whatever you think of John Barrowman, Captain Jack was a character, especially in 2005, that broke a lot of boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe on set and off set. But
I mean, first companion of colour as well.
Yeah, whatever you think of Mickey and Martha, you know, like, they were main characters of colour, like some of the firsts. And it's like, that was incredibly, like, it shouldn't have been, but it was incredibly progressive for Doctor Who to do. And it was, you know, a staple of what the show is and can be under someone like Russell.
Oh, yeah.
And, so cards on the table, very excited for Russell's writing and his vision of the world, especially the current world.
Oh yeah,
to
like
come
the
back
world
into
building and like just like I want to see his whole like, because I know he was was it this year or last year? But he was talking about how Doctor Who should have like its own like Marvel Cinematic Universe style to it.
You're gonna feel so fucking old, but it was this year that
Oh
happened.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that all. I think that and the Loki stuff just all happened around the same time, but it just feels forever ago.
It's funny because that happened this year, and I feel as if that happened before he was asked. Like it came really late in the game. But
Yeah, it's really strange because it's like
it was thrown
Chibnall
on him
said
last
he
minute.
spent like
It was just like,
he's
yeah.
Chibnall said he spent like a year trying to find someone to take over. So he's been thinking about leaving since like 2020, maybe even since like series 12 went out. He's been planning to depart.
I mean, yeah, during
And he's been
lockdown, like Russell like wrote like a short story or something. He was like, "This is probably like the last like contribution to Doctor Who I'm ever going to write."
And he was
like,
and he was talking
like
and he was
a year later
talking like earlier this year about like Doctor Who should be doing all these spin-offs. And it's like, well, did he must not have known that he was taking over at that point. So yeah, I am really
that makes me
really
curious because it's like reading it. It's like it clearly tired him out. So, but like I know this is like his vision and what he wants. So I'm really intrigued if we are going to get like like a Sage and Adventures or Torchwood type-esque show to like coexist alongside the main show.
All I want for him to begin with is to focus on
Oh
Doctor
yeah,
Who.
yeah,
Like,
definitely. Yeah, I feel like that will be like it will just be like
you can't
rebuilding.
start world building. You can't basically it's like the Dark Universe. Like
Yeah.
that Mummy movie with Tom Cruise, where it's like everything in it is just setting up something else. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is guilty of it as well. It's just like they're too busy. And even like Age of Ultron, like we all talk about how Marvel's the gold standard, but even like Marvel towards like the midpoint of their run, when they had started like plannings like the Infinity Stones are important and stuff like that, it's like they got very up their own arse of just going, everything is connected, and it's like this all it's like we're Age of Ultron has like the weird Thor jacuzzi scene where it just sets up Ragnarok, a film that is very, very different to the one they're setting up in Age of Ultron. But it just goes to show it's like you can't plan, you can't world build before the world has even started. You need a starting point. And that's what Russell did so brilliantly in 2005. Series 1 is, it can act as completely standalone, but it can also just opens up doorways. Like the possibilities were endless. You've got like Harriet Jones, a one-off side character who can then bring back, and that spirals into Torchwood and like it's you throw your ideas out there and you see what sticks and see what you want to play with. You don't go in with like
you don't go in with like a set plan.
Yeah, and that's what I think like a lot of showrunners have tried to do since, like, I know Moffat never had any of the answers for any of the questions he was setting up in his first series. And that was to his detriment. Whereas I think Chibnall has had to really accommodate his plans for the reception his like era has gotten. Like, I think he was probably going to introduce the Timeless Child and the Gallifrey stuff, and this is all just me speculating, but all of like the classic Who nods, all the references to the past, I'm sure he was going to sprinkle that through. But because I loved Series 11, but how everyone reacted to Series 11, so it's like, where's all the references? Like, why this feels so disconnected and like weird? It suddenly felt like he suddenly had to go, oh shit, I've really just got to ram home like past elements now.
It's like tonal whiplash. Like you're watching them, right? Oh, okay.
Yeah, exactly. and I'm just curious. I mean, we've talked about it. It's like it's really curious to see what Series 13 turns out like.
Yeah.
Seeing that he had to accommodate that series for COVID. So how will that work? It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I hope Russell isn't coming in with this as like, and here's my roadmap. You know, like the Chibnall thing is like the 5-year plan, which turned out to be bollocks because he only did 3 series.
Well, we don't even know if like, you know, he's just doing the 1 series after, or like if it is like he's going to do a few series, or like he might just be doing the 1 series, and that's like, okay, I've got the show to like a strong enough point. Anyone want to take over? And I mean,
well, that's initially how I read it. Is like, oh, he's just doing the 60th anniversary as like an interim showrunner. I think I've talked to you before. Is like the BBC were weighing up their options with like when Stephen was originally going to leave with Husbands of River Song. The rumor was that maybe Toby Whithouse, who was a mainstay of the Moffat era, might have come in as sort of an interim showrunner between Stephen and let's just say Chibnall. You know, let's just say it was going to be Chibnall always. It's like just come in and sort of just like hold the fort, like keep it going while they find like not a permanent, but you know, like someone for the next 5 years.
Yeah.
So that's what I thought they were going to do with Russell. Is like, okay, we'll get him in now so he can like we sort out the 60th, because having a new showrunner and one who was like brand new to Doctor Who come in at the 60th is probably another reason why not many people in Chibnall couldn't find like the right fit for the job, is because it's like,
oh yeah, because who wants to come in and like deal with that like straight off the bat?
The job this brand new person would have was like prove themselves to the audience with their writing skills, introduce a new Doctor that the public will love, and sort out the 60th anniversary. Oh, and also sort out another series of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
That's a lot to pile on like someone's first day, you know?
Yeah,
so
I think Russell was like the safest bet, like with the situation they had.
Choice.
Yeah.
You know, he's someone who, you know, like the situation they had, they needed someone who had experience with Doctor Who, and just so happened to be someone who had experience running Doctor Who, but also someone with, you know, a writing skill that would also carry the show and not just be like, we need someone.
I mean, yeah, it isn't like Russell is just written like his era of Doctor Who. It's like, yep, that's what he's most remembered for. It's like he's went on and like a lot more. Yeah.
Like some people, like
he's exceeded that in a lot of ways.
It's like I listened to a podcast called Films to Be Buried with Brett Goldstein. He talked to Russell and he was like, some people get like one like amazing show that they're known for, maybe 2. And then Russell like writes these groundbreaking shows like every other year. He writes a new like phenomenally like well like praised drama that completely changes like TV.
I don't know if you follow like him on like Instagram, but he always posts pictures of his like rewards and stuff. I find it really funny when like, because him and Stephen Moffat are like best mates. It's like,
oh, they're so funny. It's the
just
funniest
like their banter.
I love that I think we talked about it in the past. It's like before we even knew Russell was coming back. It's like it's just fun that it's like they've both had the same job. They both had shared that experience. So now they're both just viewers, or at least they were just viewers. So they could just have fun with each other about like the job and the good old days.
They just take the piss out of each other all the time. Have that like great banter.
But yeah, in summary, Russell good, but Bad Wolf. We've talked about it a bit. I'm going to say it now. I'm a bit hesitant to give Doctor Who over to a privately funded company. It's just me. I'm just worried about Doctor Who being privatized, if you know what I mean.
I do. I don't think Doctor Who would ever. I don't think the BBC would ever truly let go of Doctor Who.
Hmm.
And I feel like, especially under Russell, and Russell was like outright spoke about like he loves the BBC, he loves how they run, what they do, he loves Doctor Who. I don't think that would happen under him either. And the thing is, I don't know, would it stay a co-production afterwards? Like,
yeah,
I
like we were
assume
saying,
so.
Like we're not too sure how long Russell is
Yeah, but
staying for.
it does feel like a very Russell decision of like he's done this because he knows that team, he wants to work with that team, and they could also like give a little bit more budget.
They provide a lot of benefits to the production of the show, yeah. And my other concern with Bad Wolf is like Jane Tranter, Julie Gardner, both not ran, but you know what I mean. They were both involved in stewarding Doctor Who in the 2009 to 2009 era, which is very wildly regarded by a lot of sections of just general audiences as the golden era of Doctor Who. And
I just hope they don't try and redo like what they did or like what they think made the show like popular.
I've been told by people who've read The Writer's Tale is apparently when Russell talks about them, is like they're not like super controlling of like of his like creativity. They weren't just like going, no, you got to do it like this because that's what people like. I'm just worried that that's what it will be now. Like I'm just worried they'll be like, bring back Phil Collinson. We're just gonna do it again. Just do the good old days TM. That magic formula. We'll just do it all. And we'll get everyone back on side. And it will just be like, bring David Tennant back,
Don't think they'll do that. We'll just, or then maybe the 60th.
We'll just, we'll keep it going as it was back before,
Yeah,
before it all changed.
I get that, and I there's just something in me that's like, I can't see them doing that. I can see them bringing back maybe a few people, but I can't see them like, just getting the bands back together and just doing the same like production again.
I trust Russell enough to be like, he wouldn't just do that again, because everyone's saying it's like, oh, he's gonna write it just like how it was in 2009, just like when he left.
The thing is that actually, because that helps no one then, because if it is like Russell is supposed to be getting the show like back on its feet again, it's like, and he's just brought in the old guys, it's like, when he leaves, then they're probably going to follow. Because they've done Doctor Who, they've left Doctor Who, and to them coming back, like, they're not going to stick about forever.
It's like, what interested Russell enough to come back? Because it's like, it's all well and good, like, them saying, like, oh, Russell, if you don't come back, we probably will, like, rest Doctor Who.
I feel like it is, like, he is, like, such a fan. I think Russell, like, recognised like where the show was and like maybe the like struggle Chibnall was having, like finding someone. He was just like, oh, go on then, I'll give it one more shot.
He says it's like he's a writer who's like he's not just stop, his ideas don't just stop. Like, he keeps on having ideas, so he must have some sort of vision. Maybe it's not fully formed, like we're saying, like he probably doesn't have like a solid roadmap of where he's going to take it, but it's probably along the lines of like, oh, I know what Doctor I want to do, I know what I want sort of the characters and the world she visit to be like, and then they're going to go from there. So yeah, that's what I'm interested in. But yeah, like you were saying, it's like when Russell inevitably leaves,
he's going to bring Murray Gold back.
No.
Oh yeah.
No.
You love Murray Gold.
We loved Murray Gold in the past tense. We loved Murray Gold.
Yeah.
But we love Sagan Akinola. And if I got my way, Sagan would stay. If like I had to compromise, Sagan would leave and a new person would come on. I agree with that. I just think like going back to like the good old days TM. I know Russell pretty much has just worked with Murray Gold musically on like everything he's done
Yeah.
post Doctor Who. I'm just hoping that like, because like a lot of auteurs, sort of what Russell is. He is a voice in like more than just the writing and like in producing. I mean, he will be executive producer again. That's what the showrunner is. Like they do change up like the voices they work with. I mean, I'm just going to use an example with like James Gunn. He usually works with a composer called Tyler Bates, who did a lot of who did the first 2 Guardians of the Galaxy films. But now he's working with a composer called John Murphy, who did The Suicide Squad and is going to do Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3's soundtrack. So, it's not beyond like people to work with other voices. And Russell has worked with other voices. He's not just worked with the exact same people over like the 15 years he's been gone. So I do hope that maybe either he keeps Sagan on or a new composer comes on for Doctor Who.
I feel like him bringing Murray Gold on would be like one of the things, like one of the main step backs. I'd be like, ooh. Like that would...
Which is funny because it's such a small thing, like the
Jericho. The thing is, I love Murray Gold. I love his music, like, and I go back and I listen to his music more than I would say like Sagan's, but it's like, it would just feel like a bit of a like, step back, like for lack of a better term, just to. It would
be the same like if Phil Collinson came back for me. It's like I want him to surround himself. Like, sure, you got Jane Tranter and Julie Gardner in charge of Bad Wolf, but I'd like Russell to be. I hope he doesn't just bring back all the writers he used to work with. I mean, he's not bringing back Gareth Roberts because apparently Gareth Roberts and him hate each other now, which is good, which is very, very good. But it's like I'm hoping he like doesn't go. Yeah, like Toby Whithouse and like people, who were mainstays of his era of Doctor Who are all just suddenly back and have got their jobs again.
I think there's a lot of like new voices and like people since that you could bring back.
What Chibnall brought in. Like he brought in pretty much, it was just all writers who hadn't written for Doctor Who before.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm also curious if like maybe Russell will bring over some Chibnall writers because
I'm sure he will. I'm sure he'll maybe bring over some Moffat writers as well. It just depends. Like he'll probably bring in some. It looks like
every episode from now on, every episode of the Chibnall era is going to have a Chris Chibnall writing credit, probably. So it would be nice, like those writers who got their chances in those first couple of series, maybe give them a shot under another writer, another voice. But I will also advocate for new talent, and what I want is a mix of old and new, is what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, that's always the best, because then like you give other people a chance, and then if they write something great, then you're like, oh okay, we're on to something now.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I'm at. Is like Russell, yay! I'm very intrigued. And I can't wait to hear, once this era is done, or as we're moving into the next era, him talking about Doctor Who again, like as the showrunner. It's like, I'm really interested to hear all his like thought process to coming back like from him, not just like us speculating. I want to know the answers. And
Funnily enough, I'm really intrigued to hear what, like, in a few years, if Chibnall like speaks about his time as showrunner. Like properly, is like really open.
Maybe he'll unprivate his Instagram and suddenly join in. He'll take over Russell's place and like start being mean with Stephen.
That'd be pretty funny.
But I think what we all know is coming back is the surfboard logo.
Oh,
because it's gonna just come immediately.
Oh yeah. It's just gonna be the same, like same titles, same logo.
Same titles. I mean, I told you, David Tennant's gonna come back.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But as we close out, do you have a pick for who do you think would work as a great Doctor under Russell, or just a general as like who do you would like the 14th Doctor to be realistically?
I know like Tiana Miller's been one that's been floating about a lot of like, you know, like Lydia West,
She's
stuff like that.
yeah.
People that like he's worked with on like recently in It's a Sin or years and years.
I think my realistic choice
I don't know
would
who.
be Lydia West.
I don't
I
know.
think
I
she's
don't know
got
if
it.
he would pick someone so obvious though. And it's like I did originally think that was like, ooh yeah, that like Tiana Miller, Lydia West, they two make the most sense. But I don't
They
know
make the
now.
most sense, but
Like,
I
I don't
would
know if he'd go
also
with someone like so obvious.
I would also love someone we've never heard of, or
That would be
someone who's
great,
just
yeah.
about to like break into the industry.
I
Well,
hope
that's
it's
another thing,
Chris
like, talking
Marshall. I hope
Oh,
he finally does it.
Richard Ayoade.
Oh no.
And on that bombshell,
But I've not
shall
talked.
we?
But wait, Ollie,
Oh,
I need to talk about if it's going to be 8 or like no 10 or 6 episodes or something. That thing you were coming back to.
okay. We'll insert this in really naturally.
Woo. There you go, that's that.
Transition
Sound
noises.
effects. Yeah, it's funny because I'm not going to cut anything, and all this is just going to be here. I'm just going to speak now.
Hello, faithful viewer.
Yeah.
So, Jean, very naturally, who would what was the question?
It was literally just do you think they're going to carry on the 6 episodes? Like, is that
Oh yeah, the
standard
production
now?
like side of it. Do you think 6 episodes is like what kind of production do you think they're gonna bring? Because obviously they're not gonna do 13 episodes in the Christmas special.
Yeah,
Like that's
yeah.
just not how TV works anymore. Or at least not how Doctor Who can work anymore. So, what do you think they might do? Do you think they'll keep it as 6, or do you think we'll go back to 10?
I don't think they'll keep it as 6. I do think that's very like, yeah, the COVID definitely hindered the production, and that's fair enough.
Yeah.
How many episodes is like something like His Dark Materials? I think that's 8. I feel like the minimum
I
they
was
do
about to
with
say
8.
I think they might move it to
I
if
feel-
not 10.
Yeah, I feel like
8.
10. I feel like 10. Hopefully, I feel like they probably will keep it as 10.
10 and a special would be
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, 10 and a special is what I feel like it would be.
I think that like that really works for the Jodie era, the Chibnall era as well. It's like I don't feel like Doctor Who ran out really quickly. I just feel like Doctor Who's over now, but we've got a special. It's like I've never really felt like as they've cut down episodes. I mean, I'm sure I'll feel it with the going from 10 to 6.
I think my problem with them cutting down episodes is that you don't get those more experimental episodes, and sure, like they don't always work out, but it's like you can't really have your 11 monsters or.
But to be fair, yes, we do get an Orphan 55 and then It Takes You Away. We still got those episodes
Is Orphan
under 10.
55 really experimental though?
Meh.
It Takes You Away, fair enough, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I'm hoping that we keep some sort of like, we keep those Love and Monsters. I mean, obviously, you never know, Russell could write every episode as Love and
Midnights.
Monsters, and I would love it. I would love it if it's just, can you imagine if it just alternates between like Love
I
and
hope
Monsters
he brings
and
back the
Midnight?
Slovene. Like, I unironically hope that he brings back the Slovene.
Be interesting.
Bring them back.
I don't know what to expect. So but that's
Yeah.
exciting.
I mean, I'm sure as more news comes out and like as we get closer to it, we'll speak about it before it happens again. I'm sure. It's just right now.
Oh yeah.
The news is
I think
somewhat fresh.
the current topic at the moment is Doctor Who Series 13, aka Doctor Who Flux.
Yeah, and it should be.
This Sunday with Chapter 1, The Halloween Apocalypse.
Hell yeah.
We'll see you soon.